Hello, welcome to the Rhode Island Small Business Coalition Live Forum. I'm your host, David Dedakian, a small business owner here in Rhode Island. I own Eat Drink Rhode Island. And today's today's show is a little different. All right, we're waiting for our guest, but we've got Governor McKee with us coming on today. And because of that, we're going to do things a little different. We're going to talk a little bit more about the Small Business Coalition, and board members of the coalition are going to be joining us. We've got Board Chair Chris Parisi and Jennifer Ortiz, who's also on the board with us. Hello. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, David. Hello.
So, Chris, why don't you tell, while we're waiting for the governor to come on, he's a very busy person, of course, running a state. Could you tell us, about the Small Business Coalition? I always do the little preamble every week, but people may not know about the origins, things of that nature.
Yeah, sure. So this actually started about 2 years ago now, which is crazy to say, when the pandemic was really hitting hard in March 2020. And then Lieutenant Governor McKee at the time said, hey, here's my cell phone number. For anyone that can help out small businesses, please do so. So gave them a call. They were running a Gift It Forward gift card program and helped really elevate that to digitize it. And then next thing you knew, we were organizing over 1,500 members and helping them throughout the pandemic, providing services and advocating for grants, which led to the Restore RI grant program. And Lieutenant Governor McKee was incredibly helpful, especially his show. That weekly small business town hall that now Lieutenant Governor Sabina Matos takes over, that was very helpful to informing our small businesses what is going on. Because if we all remember back then, things were changing constantly, daily and weekly. And having that forum to communicate directly from our government officials to our small businesses with the ability to ask questions was incredibly helpful. And since then, we've grown the Rhode Island Small Business Coalition into a 501c6 nonprofit. And we actually have some exciting news that we'll announce later for 2022. When it comes to how we can best organize all of our members, create a portal to provide small business assistance, and really help connect our small businesses with each other, with the government officials, and with all the great business support organizations out there. So not only can we help them get through this pandemic, but also help them grow, adapt, and innovate to survive and thrive long term.
Exactly. And as I say every time I host a show, I point it out to folks, it is a free membership. Any small business is welcome to join. Go to rismallbusiness.org and sign up for the newsletter. That's what we have for the moment for joining. You sign up through rismallbusiness.org. But like Chris just said, we're going to have a really fantastic software portal soon and a lot of features and benefits for small business owners throughout the state. Any small business. I work with food and beverage. Jen does. She's a barber. She does haircuts and works with salons. Chris doesn't mention it because his Chiron there on the screen says RI Small Business Coalition, of course, but he owns Trailblaze Marketing. We're all small business owners here in the state of Rhode Island and want everyone to be part of this so that we can get the widest message out there.
Thank you. And Jennifer's been with us from the very, very beginning. Actually, Jen, remember what was it? One of the first press conferences was at Executive Cuts, your salon. Is that right?
Yes, feels like forever ago now. I actually got told about the calls. Remember, they were like 800 number. You would call in, and we could only hear everybody. We couldn't see anybody, and that was when he was lieutenant governor. And I think it was either you or Justin. I don't remember. I needed help getting the gift cards going, and that was how I kind of started with you guys. And then when Lieutenant Dan McKee gave us his cell phone number, it was like, call me if you need anything else. And from there, it just snowballed, and we've been on calls with you guys every single Monday since. I don't think we've missed much Mondays through everything.
No, we haven't.
I mean, through COVID, through everything. You guys know if I have my camera off, it's because something's going on, but I'm in the background listening. And then when we had the first press conference, it was kind of like, well, where can we hold this? Because we were like really deep in COVID. There was a lot of restrictions still. And that was the first day I met Ben. I remember that.
Speaking of the devil,
Yeah.
here's Ben, our intrepid
Hey, everybody.
producer.
I just wanted to take a second to introduce the governor of Rhode Island, Governor Dan
Appreciate
McKee.
it. Hello, Governor. Thank you for joining us today.
Well, it is
Hi,
great to
welcome,
be
Governor.
here, Dave and Jennifer and Chris. I'm in the office, the governor's office here, still working on
Fantastic.
behalf of the small businesses and looking forward to making sure that we keep that momentum going, even in the face of a very challenging time for all of us. But I think Rhode Island has responded very well, at least the time I've been governor, in a way that we all can be very proud of the fact that, they're stepping up and trying to figure out ways to support all the areas of the that we rely on, small business being part of it, health issues, education issues, and looking forward to kind of getting, certainly keeping the communication going with our leaders that, heck, I remember Jennifer's talking about the press conference outside her shop, and I remember having the car parade outside the funeral home there in Providence, and with Chris and others, Dave and others that were really organizing that. And I think that we still want to. It's a different time right now, but we still want to keep that energy going, because I do think that because of the work that's been done by this coalition, that the small business has a stronger voice as a result of that, and to keep that going is important. I'm sure Chris more than mentioned that I was able to advocate on behalf of this coalition and provide some pretty good funding, to take it to the next step, feeling as though that not only are we working our way through the pandemic, but also we're trying to position the state in a way that continues to embrace the opportunities and that the small businesses provide to the state. And you'll see that in my budget too, where we're doing an article in the budget that's designed specifically to show support to the small businesses, and we're kind of doing the last touches to that now as we prepare our budget. But that'll be, an intentional act to make sure that we're taking down a level in playing fields wherever we can, and it's meant to be that first step, so that additional budgets will be continually doing, those type of measures as they come up and the ideas come from the coalition. So, yes, so the work continues, and we're not relaxing at this point in time, and taking advantage of the momentum that this core group of small businesses have provided to the state. And of course, with Ben doing the communications, that has been a great addition too as well. So thank you, Ben, for continuing doing the work.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor, for joining us. And, we've been working, a lot ever since you were Lieutenant Governor, really being the advocate for small businesses. And as you laid out, the initiatives that you have done as Lieutenant Governor and now Governor. And one of the more recent supports was your supplemental budget that you were really advocating so that small businesses, in addition to housing and childcare, is immediately supporting, as we could not wait any longer. And one of those components, Governor, is the direct grants for small businesses. Two-part question on that. Number one, the language in the General Assembly, the legislation had it based on revenue loss. Is that something where are they considering the rising costs of small businesses? Because I know you have a pulse of small businesses and understanding it's, in addition to revenue loss, it's also the rising costs. So how can we ensure that we're taking that into consideration? And then secondly, all of our members are asking, when can we, do you have any insights of when we can expect the grant application program to be live?
Well, one of the things, Chris, that we did, immediately was identify some of the dollars, if you remember back in March, some of the dollars that were appropriated out of the CARES Act but never distributed. And we were able to identify, I think, almost $30 million that has helped the small businesses. We streamlined the application. You recall how complicated that was. Jennifer was helping a lot of people through that process. I think that we have streamlined it to the degree to make sure that we still abide by the federal regulations and make sure that we're not getting out of the lines on that, but making it very flexible. So we'd expect the same thing to happen now that the General Assembly on the first day of the session, which I think is a really strong indication of the support that the small businesses are receiving, as well as the housing issues that we're going to be working on that I think do relate into the economy, as well as the childcare as being like the three efforts that are going to be made. I would expect that we'll do the same streamlining. I know that Commerce is working with the coalition about timing and structure and how we can get those out to as many businesses quickly as we can. There's never enough, right? We know that there's just never enough. But we're trying to identify the pockets where they'll do the most good. And then I've always said that when you get dollars out into the communities, that everybody eventually benefits by the turnover of those dollars. So getting those dollars out in a way that makes sense. It's not going to be perfect, but there is an urgency in my mind to get those dollars out and activated into the community so that they're actually circulating in the economy. So I think the best thing for us to do is to stay connected. And I've asked Stephen Pryor and the staff there to make sure that we're staying very strongly connected to this coalition. And then different groups that are supporting our business community. We had a pretty comprehensive call yesterday with all the chamber and the board chairs to talk about, specifically how we can continue to keep the economy going. A number of people, we continue to remind people that with all the challenges that we faced, we still are ranked in terms of recovery in the top 5 in the country over the last 6 months. And I think that was part of the effort to get music in Newport, right? Well, when we were talking about that, get the water fire going again and supporting these really important events. And then reopening before Memorial Day, when we were thinking about we were going to reopen the economy around, the 4th of July. So, but we got to keep that going. And that's why I'm certainly committed to work with the coalition in a way where we're distributing those dollars as intelligently as we can do, but also doing it as quickly as possible, but not in a hurry, so that we, quick, but not in a hurry. In a hurry, you make some mistakes. But we see those dollars going out very quickly, and then trying to target them in a way that helps as many of our small businesses as possible.
Thank you. And I will say, shout out to Secretary Pryor, Hannah, and the Commerce team. They have been very helpful and really puts an honest effort to do what they can to support small businesses. And it's great to have a governor that has a small business background, because you understand what it's like. That extra week opening up makes a world of difference, for instance. So hats off to Commerce team and yourself, Governor. David?
Well, we've got a lot of questions, as you might imagine, Governor, from regarding the most recent executive order. A lot of our members have been writing and talking about it, and a lot of it is about enforcing the order. As I'm sure you're aware, everyone's short-staffed, and you've got people going into businesses, and these businesses saying, put on a mask, or in some cases, are you vaccinated? And unfortunately, a lot of the general public are not being very kind right now. I mean, that a lot are. I think we should point that out. I think we should always point that out when we hear these stories, that there are tons and tons of people that are being very kind, but some aren't. And so some of our members are wondering that if perhaps signs could be the enforcement tool, and that's enough for a small business. They don't have to make that unfortunately awkward and sometimes tense step of engaging the public. And then, what can you tell our small businesses? What can you tell the public in general about taking care and being kind and helping each other out here. I mean, I think it's important for everyone to hear those words.
Yeah, so David, I think that the signage is important. The Department of Health has provided some signage that can be helpful. I think that that's your biggest tool is the signage. Understanding that where the facts are good for the state of Rhode Island, that we've gone from the lowest vaccinated state in the country to the highest, and us in Vermont are number 1 and 2, where we're just short of being the top vaccinated state in the country. When I set the goal of getting 90% of our adult population vaccinated, we have over 97% with 1 shot in the arm, and we're approaching 90% with 2 shots, fully vaccinated. Now we're talking about boosters. So I would, while I'm on that topic, spend 30 seconds on let's get boosted. Very important. And then our friends who are not vaccinated, we gotta like respect that at this point in time. If they're not vaccinated by now, very few are going to do it unless they have a loved one that actually gets sick and in the hospital. And we're hearing that every day. But our friends, got to say, look we respect your position. Not quite, me personally, not quite understanding what they're doing, but they need to know that they represent about 10% of the adult population in the state, but they represent close to 50 to 75% of the COVID cases in the hospital. So we all pretty good at math. That's an extraordinary, when you pull from 10% of the population and it represents 50 to 75%, we got to let our friends know that are unvaccinated to be careful right now, right? As we try to transition through this increase in the infection rate, which is there. So to your point, I think the signage is the key. I did make sure that, and then we talked to coalition members and we talked to some of the restaurant groups about how we shape that protocol, that mandate, where we treated companies and small businesses that have under 250 in a very flexible way. It's been described by the journal as a hybrid strategy, which I think that we took into consideration the small businesses. So I would say signage is very important. Also understanding that 90% of the adults that are in the small businesses are vaccinated. I think that we are doing some level of follow-up and inspections. I talked to Liz Tanner, who's a friend of small businesses, about how that's being done. We're not saying that it's not a regulation that needs to be followed, but at the same point in time, putting the signage in, managing it in a way that makes sense. We're concerned about the dunk and other areas where we're taking a little bit more, oversight. I really have appreciated the fact that the Dunks, which is a big, venue, 12,000, could have 9,000, 10,000 people there. In this time frame, we really need them to pay attention and their oversight needs to be strong. We need those venues to be following that protocol in a strong way, and they have. So I think that is good. So do we intend to issue fines? I tend to doubt very much, unless somebody is like really poking you in the eye and taking a position that, hey, I don't have to follow protocols. So I think that managing it, Dave, and then the other point you made, which was on the chamber call yesterday, I get the state of the state address coming up, which I would certainly would welcome. Some of the thoughts that you want to communicate to the people in our state that are working their way through some very challenging times. I get the frustration. I get their, how it's impacting their families. I get whether they got kids in the schools. Look, this is a challenge that, in all respects, I think that the people in the state have done a tremendous job with, but we're tired. We are tired psychologically, and that's why we just got to dig a little deeper. It appears as though that this infection rate is going to significantly decrease. It hasn't had the same proportion to hospitalization or death rates, although we're obviously very concerned about hospitalization. So long and short of it, I would say signage is really important. I think that you'll find that our inspections are going to happen. I think we're doing about 100 a week right now. I think that what I would ask is that if we're doing inspections or you're getting calls from the health department, provide them with the same courtesy that we expect from our customers, right? And I think that you're going to see a different, approach there, Dave, in terms of trying to work our way through this immediate time frame. But I think that courtesy is really important right now. I did make a note yesterday with the chambers. I made a mental note when you just brought that up. You're going to clearly hear me state the need to be courteous, to extend the respect to everybody. That we need to make sure to, not have behavior in a business setting that is disrespectful.
And Governor, you mentioned a few metrics. Just really quick, which metric is DOH or the governor's office looking at when deciding whether or not to extend the most recent executive order?
So I think it's a combination, Chris, and I don't think there's any hard and fast formula that is there. I know that we've had people say, well, it's over, just end it. If you had a magic wand, we all would have done that. So we have to kind of be much proactive as reactive, right? So proactive in terms of getting people vaccinated, proactive in terms of getting our economy open up earlier, making sure that we do it safely, schools as well. But we also got to be prepared to be reactive. Unfortunately, that's not the best place to be in, as a reactive position. But, this increase in the infection rate is something that even the health department, when early October, they were saying, I think they were going to have a very normal holiday, more normal holiday. Well, we did in the Thanksgiving, but Christmas was a little different because of the infection rate. So proactive, reactive, and what you're looking at right now is you're seeing that, and then we've been asking for this for a while, is that I think that we're going to do a different analysis. New York has done it, Massachusetts has done it, about really looking at, why are people in the hospital? Are they going to the hospital because they got COVID, or are they going to the hospital and find out they have COVID, right? So, I think that we are heading into a different stage in terms of that analysis. I think it is going to unfold. One of the things that has been, interesting to me is the way that I've been able to interact with other governors, as well as the White House. We've been in conversations with the White House. We've had visitors from the different secretaries of the cabinet to Rhode Island. We expect that to continue. But yeah, there's no magic wand. People who think that they can just call it off, that's not very responsible. But at the same point in time, we're going to be as flexible as we can. I think early on you heard me talk about incremental flexibility. What we're anticipating and what's going to happen could be two different things, but we are anticipating a very lowered type of infection rate before the end of the month. And then we would be kind of going back to the spot we were as preparing for the spring in a way that the protocols will be reduced significantly, as I've already done. I had 3 or 4 pages of executive orders when I showed up. We're down to 1 page right now, and trying to manage that in a way that, if you recall, after July 4th, I didn't re-sign a masking protocol, right? We made some advice, but I would say that optimistically we're heading in that direction. We just got to get past this infection rate right now, which is still driving a lot of concern in many homes in the state of Rhode Island. And my anticipation, as it goes down, that we would get more back to a summer type of thing, when I said there would be music in Newport right this summer. So that's the anticipation.
Governor,
we'll see how that goes.
Governor,
Go ahead, Jeff.
I'd like to talk about testing. You know that I became a testing site. Small businesses were allowed to become a testing site for their employees and some clients if need be. when the numbers got better, our portals were closed. We discussed this, and our portals were just reopened. Thank you very much. That has made a big difference. I have been able to pick up more test kits and have been able to test a lot more people. Testing is very hard to come by nowadays. My question is, what is the status on like getting more test kits out to the public without them necessarily having to make appointments? And what about like N95 mask accessibilities for business and personal?
So the one thing to note there, Jennifer, is that we're doing twice as many tests this year as last year. So just this week we had days where we did 25,000 tests. So I understand that in the public's eye it's tough to get to, but we got two times as many people getting tests today as we did last year. So and we have made I did make a move to move our EMA director into a spot where I felt as though that we needed a little bit more supervision because of what you just explained. I think that we've rectified a number of the problems, open up more sites right now. The lines should be reduced based on having more people testing. We have also, I was on the call with CVS last week, as well as one of our distributors, and actually coming from San Diego on testing. We've received a great deal more of testing kits. Part of that is going to be the home testing strategy. So we'll be working with our local municipalities, with our local businesses, as well as the schools to fit the demand that is there in terms of home testing or even on site type testing. And I think that is expanding as we speak.
Governor, we're told that you've only got a couple more minutes with you, so I'm going to try a little lightning round here. I know you're a busy person. You're running a state, of course.
I know. It's very interesting, Dave. It's been intense. Put it that way.
I have no doubt. It's been a heck of a year for you. So I'm going to try a lightning round here. I throw a bunch of things at you if you can give us your thoughts before you have to go. I personally wanted to mention the LASA program. I know you've been briefed on that by several people, the Local Agriculture and Seafood Act program. I just wanted to point it out because it is a grant program that the state has had for many years. And since we are talking grants to small business through commerce, I just wanted to give a plug for that and hope that that's on your radar.
It's on the radar, David, and I would expect that we would be going back to funding that, at least we'll propose that where historically it has been made that commitment to the farmers over the summer, and
hopefully we can increase it too as time goes on. Maybe there's ARPA funds there, but we also, a lot of our members want to talk about state procurement, travel in particular. I know that's something that's been important to Diane and many of our members that run travel. I want to know if there was any progress there.
I think that we're still chasing it, David, but it's certainly a high level of interest on my part where we're dealing with local Rhode Island companies where we can. We're in discussions about how we might be able to manage that in a way where right now, for instance, we've really put a lot of focus on the diversity office in terms of procurement for minority businesses on contracts. I feel the same way that we need to figure out a way to make sure that where there's a local company and we have the ability to do business with them, we gotta open that up. Travel in particular, certainly on the top of the list. We just did a similar one where we, of all things on our testing, we walked away from a Rhode Island company and in favor of an out-of-state company to pile in more work. We stepped in the middle of that. And we were able to, follow the rules and protocols, but we reestablished the relationship with the Rhode Island company. So it's on my certainly on my radar, and we're trying to figure out how to go from a one issue opportunity at a time to more of a broader policy, and we're investigating what that looks like.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you. Also on the topic of ARPA, have you, since you used to be a mayor, you certainly are, have great communication with a lot of the cities and towns. I remember and appreciate you visiting all of them when you were lieutenant governor. Are you involved at all, or maybe not involved is the right word? Are you able to advise any of these municipalities on their use of the ARPA funds, since you do have some experience in that realm?
Yes, David. And what we did was that actually we brought in a former mayor who's an attorney, Alan Fung, actually to work with our local communities on all these issues. And I understand, and we made that known to the municipal leaders that access is available. I got off a call and I'll tell you, the municipal leaders are certainly responding in a way that's really good. I mean, we've got all 39 cities and towns flags now in the rotunda at the State House to say how important our municipalities are. And if I call to meet with them, which we did on to Jennifer's point on the testing and then getting them more involved in the boosters, which I think that is starting to ratchet up again. They're there. So we have direct communication with all our municipal leaders. Clearly, any small business person out there, anybody watching this that is, looking to get messaging to me, if they can't get it directly to me, then they can certainly do that through their municipal leaders because they all have my phone number, and we have direct contact with all our municipal leaders on issues that relate to small business, APRA funds, and also issues that are just outside of that, that box of the economy, housing.
That's really great to hear.
We're stepping up on the housing thing and
Yep.
getting those dollars out. Jennifer's been helping out with that too, in terms of rent relief. Now we go into the next program, a mortgage relief for some of the homeowners that are, working on that. So that's a great point, David, you made. We're all local. You have the ability to go to your local municipal leaders on issues that matter. If they can't answer that question, they have direct access to me so we can follow up.
Well, we're going to get in trouble, so
Really
you have
good
to
to hear.
run
Yeah,
off.
I was going to say, Chris, anything you want to
Yeah.
wrap up with here, because we don't want to keep the governor too long.
Oh my
All
God.
right, last thing, Governor. What type of message do you want to send to our small businesses that are struggling? You understand what it's like to give them that hope, or anything. Last message, and then we'll sign off.
Yeah, so I think that I understand how difficult it is because I was a small business person during the banking crisis, and saw many of our friends that were, solidly in the middle of the table when a crisis like that hit. We were no different. We got very close to the edge of the table as we saw other people fall off. I would just say let's be persistent. If you believe in your businesses, we believe in you, and that we're here to help. Either on one at a time or collectively, and where we can deliver, we will. And I've always said this, to friends, and that we won't promise something we can't deliver. So if you're asking a question and we answer it, if we can help, we will. And if we can find another way to help, we will. So you've got a partner in the governor's office, and I do know how resilient Rhode Island is. I've gone through it. You're going through a tough time right now. I would be just, clawing it out if that's where you are. I think that the silver lining right now, Chris, is that we are in a very extraordinary opportunity right now. That's why I've asked everybody to get involved with that Rhode Island 2030 plan, a strategy of what it would look like. It's probably an original blueprint for us for the next decade, which includes small business and economy and all the different related areas. So I think there's a huge upside right now. So there's a really benefit for, really just fighting it out right now, if that's where you are. I would encourage you to continue doing that. And if there's specific things that you need, run it through the coalition leadership, try to get us the message. And if we can help with one business at a time, we will. If we can do that. So I think that the message is, one is, let's be persistent. I do know, I have experienced, this, being put in a challenging spot. Let's continue to fight out of it. There are businesses on average that are doing better than others. We got to focus on the ones who are struggling more than the ones who are doing okay. And because there are limited resources, so we'll do that. But I also say, look, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And we see it, and so that's why it's worth the fight to do that. I know when I fought through things during the banking crisis, that my family was in a better shape as a result of that fight, not giving up. So were the people who worked with us in that business or those businesses. So I would say continue the fight. You got a partner. And there is I see a vision of a real strong economy that's going to support and continue to help our businesses grow.
Thank you,
Well,
Governor.
thank you very much for that, Governor. We really
Thank you,
appreciate the
Governor.
communication. Communication is key, and you and your team have been great with communication. So thank you very much for joining us again.
Yeah, we'll keep it going. And thank you for the leadership. I mean, we got a major voice here for small businesses. That was an objective that I was trying to make happen in a lieutenant governor, but you guys have made that happen. So let's keep it going.
We couldn't
And
do it without you.
great haircut, Governor. Thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer. You're the best. See ya.
Bye now.
Thank you. Take care. All right. So that was a great conversation. I'm sorry. It was a little, it wasn't brief. It was a good half hour, but
It still says live in the corner. That makes me nervous.
yes,
Because we're still live right now. So this is
we're still on, Jen.
Jen,
Because I
yeah,
wanted to
Jen,
plug-
you got to wrap up the show.
I wanted to plug you, Jen. I wanted to say what a great
Oh my-
job.
You know what,
do.
Dave? Don't bother plugging her. It's
Oh
fine.
no, I have to because she really does a fantastic job
Listen.
booking our guests. Wait till you hear the list of guests.
When
that we have
I
coming up.
get a text that says hi, David, I know Ben is definitely thinking of me.
So, yes. All right. So here we go. You ready for this list? Because this is a great list. In 2 weeks, January 25th, Senate President Ruggiero is going to be with us. 2 weeks after that, it's every 2 weeks at noon. But then, of course, these videos live forever on Facebook, so you can always watch them after the fact. We've got Representative Greg Amore, who's also a candidate for Secretary of State. We've got Representative Barbara Ann Fenton-Fung coming up, Representative Scott Slater. And then we've got some groups, some members of groups that are going to really be beneficial for small business to hear from. James Mutchler from SCORE RI, Doris De Los Santos from the Center for Women in Enterprise, and Tomas Avila, who is the Associate Director of the Rhode Island Office of Diversity, Equity, and Opportunity, are going to be joining us. And then also this spring, we've got Representative Blake Filippi and Senator Jessica De La Cruz. And Jen is constantly booking more and more people for us all the time. So we're going to have lots of great guests to talk with us and ask tons of questions. Speaking of questions, I haven't looked, but I'm sure there are a lot in the Facebook chat. Is Chris or Jen?
Yeah, we ran out of time.
Yeah.
We didn't get to
So
take
we're
any
going to
live
try and
questions.
we'll try and send those along to the governor's team and see if there's any answers that they can get for us that he didn't discuss during the show. As always, rismallbusiness.org, right? I mean, Chris, Jen, anything else you want to add while I've got you here on the show?
Also, if there's anybody would like for us to have on the show, I would love to take suggestions, recommendations. We ask this at our Monday meetings all the time, but I would love to hear other suggestions, other groups besides the ones we already have booked. Anybody you want to see us interview, please send your recommendations.
Yeah, and I would just say, like Ben just put up, join the coalition. As you heard from the governor, we are a leading advocate voice for all small businesses of all sorts, all sizes, in all communities of all industries here in Rhode Island. And we have a lot of great news coming ahead. So sign up for our newsletter. Not only are we going to inform you of what's the latest and greatest and how we can support small businesses, we'll also give you a prelude to what we're going on. So submit your questions or that you were not able to get asked, or submit any suggestions for who we can interview, or if you'd like to be more involved, whether as a board member or a committee member, please email info@rismallbusiness.org and we'll certainly get back to you. And taking a step back, that was a great interview. Great job, David and Jennifer. And thank you to the governor's office and Governor Dan McKee for joining us. That last question, that message of hope, right? That our small businesses, we have to be persistent. This is extremely difficult times for all of us. We hear it, we see it, we feel it. But we have to continue to fight. The light at the end of the tunnel will be there. And with this 2030 plan, with this greater emphasis on small businesses, I have no doubt that our future will be bright. And work with the Rhode Island Small Business Coalition, because we're going to fight and advocate for you and be that big voice for small businesses.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you, Chris, for all your work.
My pleasure.
And thank you, Ben,
And,
for producing as always.
Thank you,
We'll see you in 2
Benjamin.
weeks.
You're welcome. Nobody's ending the show. We'll see you next week, guys.
I was going to. Thank you.